Hi, welcome to Renee Holden Marketing, where we discuss lead generation marketing strategies to help your business grow. I'm Renee, I'm a marketing specialist, and today we're going to be talking about webinar strategies that help engage your audience and drive leads. Okay, so I know putting on a webinar can seem very straightforward. You just get on camera and talk about your product or service, right? It's not that simple. As someone who's put on a lot of presentations, I can tell you that one of the best things you can do for your webinar results is to have a detailed presentation plan. So what does that mean exactly, to have a detailed presentation plan? It means having a plan that considers your audience and how to engage your audience in the webinar itself. Now, one way you can make sure that happens is to have at least 2 people present at your webinar. Having at least 2 people interacting with one another and interacting with the audience in your webinar is a really great way to encourage engagement and keep people's attention. Now, who is the second person on your webinar with you? It could be a business partner, it could be a happy customer. But if you can find someone to participate in your webinar who is maybe in your same industry or selling a product or service that complements your product or service, that is ideal, because then you are promoting your goods to a whole new audience that is within your target audience persona. So an example of this could be like an organizing and cleaning company doing a webinar with maybe an interior design business. So these are all going to be people who are interested in cleaning up their home or interested in making it look nicer. So after you clean, maybe you want to design it next. So that's an example of a partnership where both audiences would be exposed to new products or brands that are relevant to them. Now, another way you can ensure you have a solid presentation plan is to create scripts for the people who will be presenting at your webinar. So I don't recommend making word-for-word scripts, but you can make general outlines, and if there are specific things that absolutely need to be said, you can put those in word-to-word, word-for-word scripts. But the scripts are just basically a tool so that people don't get lost. They make sure they hit their talking points and kind of makes everyone feel a little less stressed about, presenting live to their target audiences and to new target audiences. So scripts are a really good way to make sure webinars move smoothly, and ideally you want to have a run-through call before the webinar so that everybody knows what they're supposed to say, how they're supposed to say it, how the presentations are supposed to go. So having a practice round and making sure that there are scripts will ensure that everyone knows what's going on and the role that they play in the webinar. A second extremely important webinar best practice is to promote your webinar. You really want to have a promotion of 3 to 4 weeks before your actual webinar, and you want to have a very thorough promotion. So that means promoting on social media channels, promoting on email, and I would even recommend creating a promotion packet for your panelists or other people in your company. So a promotion packet basically consists of emails and already written social media posts, images, anything that someone would need to promote your webinar. So by creating this for panelists and people in your company to share, you kind of give other people and empower other people with the ability to promote your webinar kind of on their own terms, but without having to do all the work of writing emails, promoting posts. It's already done for them. The last best practice I want to touch on is the follow-up. So pretty much the whole point of putting on a webinar is to grow awareness for your product or service and to get that registrations list, which is basically leads that you can follow up with. So it's best to follow up with leads 24 to 48 hours after the webinar has ended. The sooner you follow up with the leads, the more that they will remember the presentation you gave and how they know you. The conversation will be much easier closer to the date of the webinar versus a week or 2 later. So try to follow up with leads pretty soon after the webinar. Also, all webinar registrants should receive a recording of the webinar, a copy of the presentations that were presented during the webinar, and any resources that would be useful or that were mentioned in the webinar. So this will all help to engage your audience further and continue contact with those webinar registrants even after the virtual event has ended. Okay, so those are my webinar best practices. If you're interested in webinars for lead generation or going into more depth on these topics, check out my blog post on reneeholden.com. I'm going to have that link down below, and subscribe if you're interested in more. Thank you.